Hello and welcome to the All About X-Men Comics podcast, where you'll find recaps and reviews of all the most recent X-Men comics, as well as previews for upcoming issues. Please keep in mind this will mean spoilers and not safe for work metaphors. I'm host Scorpio Moon. I spell out X-Men on my pizza with the toppings, and hosting with me is
Johnny Alpha, and yeah, dude, X-Men for life.
Starting off with one of our main books, All New X-Men, number 21. God Loves, Man Kills artist Brent Anderson came back for a special flashback scene, which is where the issue started. It's a great treat for X-Men fans, and it also builds the mystery of how Stryker has offspring with powers. I'm not usually a fan of mucking around with the past, but it's hard to argue with it in a title like this, All New X-Men of all places. After the events of last issue, the Purifiers have the original X-Men from the past, and Kitty all knocked out in their compound. They start debating what to do after one of the Purifiers brings up the possibility that giving into their genocidal feelings here could do more harm than good if they kill them and cause some kind of paradox, and they resolve to call someone smart. I'm kind of surprised Purifiers are that smart at all to begin with.
I think that they really wrote that in out of nowhere, especially the way that the dude says, maybe we should, talk to somebody that's smarter than us. It's kind of like a total ham-bone line, but I think that it lended to the event, you know what I mean?
It's kind of how it has to be, because they can't just kill the X-Men, so you gotta have your reasons in there. But yeah, that's way more than I'd give a bunch of religious fanatics credit for. So they string them up to wait for someone smart to call them back, and it eventually ends up being an AIM scientist who comes in and agrees that yes, they would be out of their ever-loving minds to risk tearing apart the whole fabric of reality. Which once again is a little convenient for a villain to side with, but she does kind of say, hey, Kitty's not from the past. Do whatever you want with her. After she takes a couple biological samples to do her experiments. I was kind of waiting to see that, some of that was going to be maybe Jean doing a mind control thing on these people to buy them some time. But there wasn't really any evidence of that, was there?
Possibility, but, they would have given more evidence if it was her playing around, so, I think you're right. I don't think it was her doing that stuff.
Her eyes would glow, or they'd show a little, ring of energy around her head, or something like that going on to let you know. But they do get out of their chains using their superpowers anyway. I think what actually happened is Jean Grey kind of mentally woke everyone up. Because, they were all knocked out. And they all combine their powers, they get out, and do what they came to fucking do, which was stomp down some Purifiers.
And I love that our favorite Bobby almost blew the whole thing by, what? Just waking up yelling, what do you want? An Iceman, dude. And the Purifier's just like, man, I wasn't talking to you.
So the whole time, X-23 was being tortured with video of what happened during Avengers Arena in a separate room. And when Cyclops finally breaks her free, well, she's ready for that hug now. Which, of course, Jean sees. And wasn't it kind of funny or convenient that, Scott's running down the hall, he sees X-23, he's in that room, and he's like, you guys go ahead, I'll take care of this.
I think he knew that he's got the mojo with this one, so he's going to play his cards a little more. And yeah, dude, boy, did he get hug-raped, man. I mean, she, bam, was on him. If he really wants to be in some Wolverine panties, man, he's there now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it was one of those ones where it looks like it's about to be an attack. But, that's just how X-23 hugs.
She's a violent little monkey, so everything she's going to do is, just all or nothing.
Yeah, Scott's going to walk out of that one with a couple scars. Kitty puts in a call to S.H.I.E.L.D., who kind of comes in, for cleanup duty, because they would love some Purifier and AIM prisoners. And that's basically where it ends. Johnny, would you go thumbs up or thumbs down on this one and buy it or skip it?
I'm going to go thumbs up. I had a lot of fun. I think that this resolved this little idea that they had going with the Purifiers and showing how the mutants from the past are dealing with religious fanaticism. But I'm going to go ahead and say just skip this issue, get the trade paperback for this run. This wasn't a quintessential issue.
I'm going to go thumbs up. It's a real smooth read. And man, the visual art. There are a couple times you do have to do a bit of a double take to tell which character is which, especially with all the shadows. But there's a lot of torment, pain, and confusion rendered really palpably on the faces, especially in a dark issue where even the heroes become these ghastly visages. I'm going to go with buy it. I think the Brent Anderson drawing flashback is enough to make this more than just a standard issue and almost kind of a special event. One of the other big books this week is Uncanny X-Men number 16. This is the Magneto issue that the fucked up solicits have been trying to promise us for a while now. It starts with a callback to that pro-mutant rally that the X-Men tried to support and got attacked at. And then throughout this issue, Magneto's got 3 really nice violent scenes that I think set the stage for this character. Setting the stage also being what this issue basically does, because Uncanny X-Men number 16 is the prequel / lead-in issue to his new series. The first one is in his head when he's at this pro-mutant rally, which is, being run by mainly all humans. He's just so offended at that idea that people who have not gone through his suffering would propose to stand with him. And with humans, it's always pretty much damned if you do and damned if you don't with Magneto. But he kind of imagines himself just going crazy and attacking this rally. It kind of makes you think that the old Magneto, that's what he would have done. That's how the story would go down, this rally and Magneto attacking it, and then having to fight the X-Men.
Right. No, I mean, honestly, Jason Starr, writer of Wolverine Max, look at this. This is how you do an imagined brutality, because this was perfect. Him going full Magneto, throwing the news bus around. It was epic. It really was a good way to bring about the twist of this issue, so I really liked that they threw that imagined outbreak into this.
And I think we might have covered this a bit in the previews for last week. My basic philosophy here is that now that we have more mutants again, whether it's coming through the Phoenix intervening or maybe technically some of these Inhumans, metahumans are on the rise again. It's not like after M-Day and Decimation where, we were down to like a number of mutants that you could almost literally count, and they were all huddled together just for survival. That's why Magneto's been with the X-Men for so long. But now that he doesn't really have that holding him back anymore, now he's free to pursue his own agenda and go back on the offensive again. And they also bring up a really interesting point that Xavier was Magneto's best friend of sorts for a time. So many people focus on how Xavier's death affected Wolverine or affected Cyclops, but not as much on Magneto, right?
Right, and they really did bring that up. We haven't gotten to the point yet, but yeah, one of the characters is really trying to grind that into him to try to see things in their way. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of an interesting point because I haven't thought about how Magneto would have took X's death, because as long as I've read, he's been trying to kill that little bald bastard himself. So, I never thought that, it would affect him adversely. But, I take it to be Magneto's one of them guys that, dude, I was going to kill him. How the hell, why should anybody else get that? I never thought about it like that, but he probably is, that kind of a villain that, if anybody was going to kill that bastard, it was me, I guess that's the only way I could really see it affecting him, but like I said, somebody really tries to grind that into him in this issue, and I love the way that turned out for them.
The other thing I think it does is Xavier's death kind of leaves, a mutant leadership power vacuum. It's always been Xavier versus Magneto, but now it's just Magneto versus no one. As far as X-Men comics, the big thing is right now is Wolverine versus Cyclops. And Magneto must still see himself as above all the rest of the X-Men anyway. So that really opens up a new door for him in a way, too.
I don't see that at all. There was a time that Magneto would, but this Magneto, I don't see him doing that. We're not dealing with classic pink and purple Magneto. He's trying to actually make things better for once, it seems, with this character.
Well, I think what we're going to see is that he does have different kinds of goals. Like I said, it's not classic pink and purple, laughing comic book villain Magneto. But he does still at least have some of his old ways of doing things. What we do see later is that Mystique posing as Dazzler, she exposes that deception to Magneto. Well, before she does that, she lures him to Magipore, where they've been kind of building their new little mutant haven. But on the way, Magneto has to fight his way to the truth. And we see him almost get clobbered by a bunch of guys. And that's our second big scene of violence. They kind of do a Chekhov's gun thing where they point this out earlier. But, he goes all crazy fighting these guys with guns and knives, and after he gets his information, still kind of cuts the one guy up anyway. So he's still violent, Magneto.
Oh, right. There's no way he's joining the Jean Grey school. That's for sure.
So yeah, he finally gets to the little setup they've got in Magipore, and you've got Mystique there, Sabretooth, that shitty new Silver Samurai. And then once you've got Blob and Magneto, and you've got all these people standing on the same panel again, it almost kind of felt like home in kind of a way, a Brotherhood of Evil Mutants reunion.
He's going around shaking all their hands and this is brilliant, is this you? And he keeps getting kind of shrugged off, nah, I ain't as intelligent for this. And then we get the big reveal, which isn't a big reveal to anybody besides Magneto, but...
But of course, it's not going to be too fun for too long, because once he does finally get to them, and this is our third big scene of violence for Magneto, He actually attacks them. He stabs Mystique with shitty new Silver Samurai's sword. He takes these bullets and, shoots up Sabretooth and just trashes the whole fucking team because they've built their new little mutant empire on selling mutant growth hormone.
To humans.
Which is just like an insult to the entire mutant race. It's one of the most disgusting things he's seen in forever.
Right, and I mean, he just got so hulked out about it, man. It was beautiful to just see him beat the shit out of the Brotherhood like that. I honestly didn't see it coming.
And maybe there's something symbolic in a way with him trashing the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Once again, forget about that old Magneto. Forget about the old style Magneto. It could be him versus good guys. It could be him versus bad guys. If you get in Magneto's way, you're in for some serious shit.
He may not like everything that Summers is doing and what he's doing with these new X-Men, but at least it's a lot better than what his ex-friends are doing, selling out his own people for a little slice of what they consider to be some kind of paradise. It was just epic Magneto right there.
Yeah, man. So on the way out, he crashes one of their fancy buildings and takes off in their helicopter. And I mean, to bring down that whole building, his powers have to be operating at a pretty high level, right?
Mystique was giving him the shit about his loss of power being a psychosomatic thing. That might have actually been true. And that anger being sold out by what he thought would have been his best friends, Maybe that was what he needed to break this Phoenix Force funk that he's in.
It was so stressful to him that, the moments of stress brought out the powers. So his powers, at the very least, I'm going to say, are on the upswing.
Right. Which is looking up maybe for some of the other X-Men that are losing their powers, aside from Whimperine.
So, Uncanny X-Men number 16, thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it.
Thumbs up, thumbs way up. I love this artist that they've got working on this book. This was just so awesome Magneto, and buy it because it's just so awesome Magneto. And you also get some good Emma being mean to Scott moments at the very end of the book. So it's just a great read.
I'm going to go thumbs up. I thought all this comic book violence was pretty fucking enjoyable. And it gives you a lot to think about in regards to Magneto. And I'm going to go with buy it. Single issues on Uncanny are almost always satisfying on their own, and there just isn't enough of that in comics anymore. Next up is Amazing X-Men number 3.
Amazing X-Men number 3.
So right off the bat, I already almost took issue with, the very first words in this book, almost literally. They've got the little, preamble forward thing. Nightcrawler has been granted an eternity in paradise for a life of heroism and faith, but that stay was interrupted by his father, the demon Azazel. Couldn't they have been a little more honest with that? Put it as, Nightcrawler has been granted an eternity in paradise and has been bored to fucking hell with it, and thankfully for him, Azazel came in and broke him out.
And so he can have swashbuckling adventures that make no sense. And we can get horrible, I need coffee one-liners from the Beast, which, God. And what they did with the Beast in this issue was just so retarded. This book is just going from worse to worse to worse. Aaron, just stop, man. Just stop, please.
Yeah, man, were they trying to make, Beast, Wolverine's Wolverine again or something? Wolverine needs to have a feral mutant to deal with or something?
I guess, yeah, because, Beast goes feral in this. I mean, it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen.
Why didn't Nightcrawler just join Azazel anyway? I mean, Azazel's doing his little speech to his pirates or whatever in the beginning. Didn't I promise you adventure and blah, blah, blah. And shit, that sounds like exactly what Nightcrawler needed, since he was so bored being emo in heaven. No, I'm not actually suggesting that Nightcrawler would ever actually join forces with Azazel. I just found it kind of ironic that all the things Azazel is celebrating is kind of exactly what Nightcrawler would have wanted. And I'm still just harping on the fact that he was bored and emo in heaven.
And now I know that they were hooked up several times in the past, but now we got Wolverine boning Storm, and the first thing that they do bringing Nightcrawler back is having him and Storm reignite the thing. So once they get Nightcrawler back to Earth and are alive and they're not playing Johnny Depp in heaven anymore, are we going to have a man match between Nightcrawler and Wolverine over Storm? I mean, is that what he's trying to get at? I really think that he's going to play that up too, and that's just so stupid. Oh, the whole Scott Summers, Jean Grey thing is played out, so let's do it with Nightcrawler and Storm this time. Jesus. Jason Aaron, you really have the brain of a monkey.
Alright, so let's go through the events of this issue, mercifully quickly. So, yeah. I guess we started out in Purgatory, which is the realm where Beast showed up. He's got to drag himself out of the icy water onto one of Azazel's boats. And they have a little, comic book action fight thing. There's a bunch of religious agnostic banter thrown around between the two. Nightcrawler finally bamfs in to rescue Storm, and they have like a romance thing going on we were talking about, complete with flashbacks to her greenhouse. Beast eventually makes his way over to the other ship, but after his fight with Azazel where he got stabbed and thrown back into the water and came back into like a feral berserker rage, he's still in feral berserker rage mode. Looks like he's about to bite Nightcrawler's head off, and that's kind of like our cliffhanger for the issue.
Yeah, and it's just like, what, dude, really? And like, honestly, why is he like trying to pull out these crazy historical characters and make them into these lame pirate bad guys? There's Captain Caligula and Captain Billy the Kid and Captain Jack the Ripper. It's too much, too far. We get it, Aaron. You miss Claremont. Everybody misses Claremont. But you are never going to be Claremont. You're not even Claremont with autism, you know what I mean?
Besides, Claremont's going to write the new Nightcrawler title anyway, so he's coming back soon enough.
Oh, is he really? Okay. So, yeah, you're going to get shown up, fool. So why are you playing this?
Yeah, that's what happened in Amazing X-Men number 3. Thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it.
Thumbs down. This book just keeps getting worse and worse. The art is nice, dude. Ed McGuinness, you're doing a good job. Everybody else, you need to up the ante and skip it, because this is honestly like the worst X book going right now.
I'm going to go thumbs down. Nowhere near as fun as they want it to be. Maybe take a quick flip through it at the store, but other than that, skip it. Next up is Uncanny X-Force number 16. So Strife has both Hope and Bishop chained up. Hope just wants to escape so she can kill Bishop. It's so one-track mind, I love it. She even taunts Bishop about how totally fucked his situation is because he's there with her.
Right. There's no room that Bishop, in her mind, the Bishop's going to get the upper hand. He is stuck in a room with her. She's got the whole Rorschach mentality.
Yeah, man, totally. You're trapped in here with me. Yeah, man, that was some good shit. And we see that Strife's plan here, his plan is, he wants revenge on both Cable and Bishop. He plans to get it by letting Hope kill Bishop. That way Bishop dies, and then Cable is a failure for letting Hope become a killer. Strife wins. But of course it's gotta be, played out, so he's not ready to let it happen just yet. Cable squares off with the other X-Force team. Cable wants to know why he wasn't warned Bishop was back in town, and they don't want to let Cable get away to kill Bishop. And there's a lot of strategy in this confrontation, and it's built up throughout the book. There's so much of it, you'll love it. Cable is trying to stall for time until his team shows up. Storm and Psylocke double-team blast him just as they do, and then Cable's team, blast the other X-Force team and knock them all down. So now we're back to a standoff between the two teams, at least, and it's not just Cable by himself. He's actually knocked out now.
And we get awesome Capture the Flag jokes from Boomer, man. She is so cute. I never liked Capture the Flag in PE.
So now it's actually, the thing is reversed. Now Storm is stalling for time to let her team get their wits back about them. And Nemesis is frustrated with all this talking, so at least he tags Cable with the Tracer. So now when Spiral takes off with him, we can have the cool chase fight game of Capture the Flag thing going on. Cable as the flag. And that goes on for pretty much the rest of the issue. The action is pretty smooth for how much chaos that they have to manage here, with a lot of tactics and back and forth. It all ends when Nemesis finally gets to Cable and gives him like a shot to wake him up. Cable's first word is literally just to scream, "Hope!" It's great, man, I love it. And then he has Nemesis hit Spiral with a hallucinogen dart, and manipulates her into using her powers to transport them to Strife's base, where Hope is, which was, I thought, just fucking brilliant.
Right, while the rest of X-Force are fighting still, which is kind of a dick move on Cable, but, he's kind of one-sided here, which, I don't mind. Like you said, the action in this is awesome. Puck hits Colossus with a truck. Domino and Spiral are just beating the shit out of each other in the freeway and stuff like that. They are just crunching cars, munching metal, it's a slobber knocker, in the words of the wrestling announcer guys. It's a hell of an issue, man. And then, you get Boomer's goofy joke when she bombed Psylocke with the fireball. Brits never did understand baseball. She's too funny, man. I'm glad that they brought her back. I've missed her since Agents of Hate.
I did love her bit also with her enjoying the wave when Storm is doing the typhoon thing.
She's nuts, man. She's just constantly stoned or something, man.
And what was up with Dr. Nemesis? so quick to say that he didn't know something towards the end of the issue. That's not Dr. Nemesis. I mean, he probably could figure out what Cable was doing. I mean, not even without some kind of qualifier.
Well, I mean, as long as he outsmarted Forge, still, I'm pretty sure he's fine with it.
I still think it's maybe just not quite the tightest writing of some of the Cable and X-Force characters in this book.
Yeah, but, like, they're really... Like we said, this is going to be a group effort between the two writers, so, like, basically I think that they both kind of came to this idea of what's going to happen.
So at the end of the issue, Cable and Spiral end up transported to Strife space. You know, you see that Strife is there, and that's our cliffhanger.
Yeah, and you're early and stuff. It was kind of a nice little exchange, kind of like a 90s comic, you know, like I was actually reading old X-Force with that line. I was just like, wow. Humphreys is really nailing Leafield era, but he's doing it way better than Leafield ever could.
Oh, that's... Okay, so as far as this issue of Uncanny X-Force, would you go thumbs up or thumbs down and buy or skip it?
Thumbs up. The action alone makes this book enjoyable. The one-liners are great. And buy it, because like you said with the Cable and X-Force issue, you don't want to be sitting on your thumb while the two X-Force teams are fighting each other, and there's a huge event going on that's going to bring them together in a new series. So if you're an X-Force fan, you got to be reading this crossover event.
I'm going to go thumbs up. It's smart, exciting, nice to look at, and they do a lot within these pages, which leads me to also recommend buying it. Issue to issue, this has been a pretty great read so far. Both have given you enough to be entertaining on their own. Next up, Wolverine Next, number 15!
It's finally over, people! It's finally over. We can rejoice. It ends retarded, but it's over. So, I mean, like, we have that.
Hooray! Woohoo! It's dead, it's dead. The shitty series is dead.
What's up with the last issue? They had a different artist. So the art actually almost looked nice. And then, like, this issue, it's back to the chicken scratch art. Ugly John book, man.
Yeah, that's the first thing you see once you open this up is you're like, but, you know, I've got to start off by saying, you know, I'm not going to lie here. I actually read this book first this week, you know, just to finally get it over with. Man, did it ever end in just spectacularly shitty fashion.
Go Star, Jason Starr. You handed us another piece of crap again. I mean, I'm happy that you finally ended it, man. And I hope you don't feel too bad, because I'm pretty sure you could actually write. You know, I'm not positive, but, you know, you could get past this, you know. And this is a good thing that this is over. You can probably, like, write a good book now.
Now, seriously, just bear with me here. Like, you're not going to believe some of this, I don't think. But just trust me, it's true. So,
right. Shit for Brains Max goes for broke with how shit for brains he is in this issue. So, yeah.
Okay, so last issue, Wolverine killed a manipulative mob boss's son. He starts here from this issue, cleaning up, you know, getting rid of blood, looking for some money to get out of town, and then decided to go back to the same mob guy's casino to win enough money to leave. I guess because he sent a text from his son's phone, he thinks that buys him enough time to go back to the home of the guy whose son he just killed. But he does, and he wins a whole ton of money that he could potentially use to buy his way out of there and, you know, start a new life somewhere else or whatever. But just, of course, as he's about to leave, the mob guy realizes that their guy is dead. The mob guys all come, grab Wolverine, and put him in an adamantium cage, which he can't cut his way out of. Because, of course, adamantium can't cut adamantium. That's just how strong it is. Then, and get this, I'm not kidding, for their take on Wolverine, they decide to just make this random mob guy be behind Wolverine's origins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he needed a Goomba with claws that bad, and he must have just been rich enough to get the government to do this for him, or Weapons Plus, or whoever. I mean, it really was just like, what, dude? How did some mob boss get this kind of guff to get some kind of surgical implants on a mutant like this? It was ridiculous. And the only thing that was more ridiculous is what comes next.
Oh, yeah, so they tie the Punisher into it with a couple throwaway lines for no reason whatsoever that you'll never get anything out of anyway. But yeah, then they reveal that the mob guy has metal claws of his own.
Right. And it doesn't hurt when they pop either. And they didn't say he has healing factor, or he's a mutant, or how he can even pop these claws. I always figured Wolverine could pop the claws because they were part of his body, you know what I mean? It was much like how, you know, a cat can get the claws to come out of them and then go back in. But whatever. This guy just pops them, and he's standing there all happy. If you're just a regular dude and you got 3 big-ass blades coming out of your hands, you screaming. Have you ever had a blade go into your hand? Just think about it coming the other way. You got tendons, you got nerve endings. It's gonna hurt, you know? So it just was so stupid, man, when that dude popped his claws.
I really couldn't believe it, you know? I hate to think that I had to stare at the page any longer than I needed to, but yeah, I had to do like a couple double takes. Like that just happened in this book. And of course, only being, you know, the one issue and the one issue on the way out, there's no explanation behind how any of this would work or be possible whatsoever. And at this point, if this guy is just as jacked up as Wolverine, what the fuck did he need Wolverine for anyway?
Right.
So somehow Wolverine just kills him, escapes, and I'm not done. Now, Wolverine runs off on his own, whatever. Wolverine sticks his arms on train tracks and lets them get run over. His theory being that if he chops off his own limbs, his own arms, that they'll grow back without claws, freeing him from his cursed violent life.
Like I said, shit for brains, Max goes for broke. Just proving how shit for brains this version of the Wolverine is, man. Oh my god. Cut my arms off and wander around as a paraplegic for a couple hours because it's like they made a point of telling you that he's been alive for as long as, like, you know, Wolverine usually is. He forgets things every 15 years type of thing is what they kind of tell you. And, like, he's only had his claws since, for a few years now, you know what I mean? He obviously didn't have them in the 70s. So, I mean, like, he was already up to no good and hurting people before he had his claws. I mean, we covered that throughout this series, so I don't understand how he came to this marvelous conclusion.
Yeah, so they made him as absolutely dumb as possible to top themselves for this last issue. And now, just like Wolverine, the character himself, my brain blots out some of my most painful memories, which is why I forget a lot of issues of this book, like most of them that I've ever read. But I'm trying to remember here, I guess his deal is that he only has adamantium claws, like not a whole skeleton, in this Max series.
I suppose, yeah, that's the only way a train could actually cut him off, right?
Yeah, they just established that adamantium is so strong that even sharpened it cannot cut itself. So a train could never run off his arms like that unless there wasn't adamantium there. I mean, I'm trying to remember, I think there was a thing in one of the first issues about, like, his legs, like he lost his legs in the accident and they grew back or something. I mean, I forget how far it was established throughout the series because I just don't remember these fucking issues that well. But, I mean, it's Max rules, so they can be different.
Yeah, but I mean, this is much like how you explained how you feel about Catechism, Ultimate X-Men. This is over. Issue 15's out. I'm gonna forget this series ever happened. So you not remembering that's you're one step ahead of me.
Hey, freaking nice. So yeah, like I said, Max rules means you can have, you know, different rules in your universe for your character. But the rules of decent comics still apply, which is why I'm just so fucking glad this shit is over.
Yeah, man. Rot in pieces.
So let's do it one last time. Thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it for the latest and now last issue of Wolverine Max.
Well, I don't know. I'm so happy that it's over. I almost want to give it a thumbs up, but that's just so wrong. So yeah, thumbs down. Like we said, it's a celebration and how stupid they actually tried to make Wolverine in this book. And I'm going to say skip it because there was never an issue of this series to start reading, and this is not a place to start. So just go ahead and let it lie, and if you didn't know that this book ever existed, keep it that way.
Great advice. Thumbs down. It so obviously reeks of, this shit was canceled. Wrap it up, boys. So much so that, I mean, there's no story to enjoy here whatsoever. And skip it. I guess I will say one last thing on it for my send-off. At best, it was a failed experiment. Okay, let's do X-Men Legacy number 22 next. Get us some more good momentum again. So Legion was all powered up, but the villains still got the upper hand on them, and with the super nuke about to set off World War III, this issue starts them in a pretty shit situation. In a really great surprise move, we see that Legion's called up the X-Men for help, and you get Wolverine, Cyclops, you know, the whole lot of them coming in to help save the day. And this is big for Legion, turning to the team like this. And when they get there, you know, Legion, he's the one who knows what the situation is. So, you know, they turn to him for leadership. Which is also just like, you know, it's such a massive situation, such a moment for him, that he almost melts under it.
Right, I mean, I love that. Where Wolverine and Cyclops look at him and, David, what should we do? They just write that, he's got that word bubble, just like, they'll never understand how much those words actually mean to me. I was just like, damn, dude, it actually kind of choked me up a little.
Yeah, man, that was a really epic moment in this series and this issue. But so Legion does pull himself together though. As he leads these heroes into battle, his narration is also kind of a meditation on leadership and Legion doing things his way. And there's always this kind of like poetic, philosophical, like mental science part of X-Men Legacy issues now. And my words really can't do his justice. For me, they're always the highlight.
Right. It's narrated beautifully.
And then visually, we get a very bright, colorful issue. I'm sure very much on purpose here, because it matches the heroic tone. You know, they do that, so I think to coordinate with the appearance of all the other superhero X-Men guest stars.
I love the Battleship monster, too. That's by far one of the coolest comic book monster things I've seen in a while.
Seems like kind of a stand-in for a Sentinel, to have like a Transformer Navy-based ship thing, but it was pretty bitchin', yeah.
Right. I just dug it. I thought it was pretty cool, especially because, I don't know, it really lended because, like, they were trying to get the ship to take apart the nuke and then him taking over the battleship was for naught because he called the X-Men, and, like, I really loved the whole X-Men learned how to take apart nukes decades ago, and they broke down how they take the bomb apart, won the day, with him actually not being a stubborn ass and asking for help. Like, once again, just a great, great thing that they're doing with this character in this book.
Oh yeah, the first trick the X-Men ever learned. That's another one of those great things about reading this comic, is like every time you do it, it's almost like a study in the X-Men. But, you know, just from different kind of points of view. And it is really great to see X-Men and Legion together, and we'll see how this works out, because in the past they've both, I mean, you know, the X-Men have been happy to just, like, you know, leave Legion, like, in a coma or whatever, you know, just shuffled off away somewhere not being dealt with. But as they also bring up, it's not like he always necessarily turns to the X-Men for any kind of help. The same way, you know, Legion's mind is all coming together. Like, you've got these characters all coming together, too.
Right, yeah, and I mean, it's really good to see him coming about, and I don't know, this really weird thing that they got with Blindfold calling herself Destiny out of nowhere. It's got me into a foreboding feeling, but also how positive this issue was, the kind of almost sad cliffhanger that we had with things still getting one last upper hand on him. I really think that he's actually going to learn that he has friends here, and I think that the X-Men are actually going to fight the World Worm and save him, which I think is going to be pretty cool. That's at least what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah, man, because that was our big cliffhanger at the end there. After confronting this evil thing again, the World Worm starts to come out. They killed off that little glowing pair of eyes thing that, you know, is like now fully powered up Blindfold again. And that's what's going to lead us into for next issue. But as far as this one, do we want to go thumbs up or thumbs down and buy it or skip it?
Thumbs up, man. Just the visualization of the character Legion coming together and becoming David, and him learning that he doesn't want to be his father. He wants to be David. You know, like he can still be an Xavier and not try to be his dad. I loved that. I loved how sentimental he got when the X-Men actually asked him what they should do. And I'm going to say, buy it. If you really want to see what this book is about, this is a great issue to just read and see this character come about, even if you haven't read this title at all.
Thumbs up. This comic continues to be an all-around impressive read. I'm also going to go buy it. Every issue is a commentary on the X-Men themselves, making it an essential read. Alright, next up I had noted for us to talk about Deadpool, Gauntlet, and Night of the Living Deadpool. I haven't actually gotten into the Gauntlet thing too much yet. I mean, I do read a fair amount of digital, but like digital first and digital exclusives and stuff like that just don't always call to me the same way other titles do.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll just do Night of the Living Deadpool for now, where it starts with Deadpool waking up in a food coma to the zombie apocalypse. And they do one of those end-of-the-world meditations, where you can see that the world was ending all the time, you just didn't notice. And that works for me. You know, part of it was kind of humorously with Deadpool killing people and like having them walk off or whatever.
And him dropping that homeboy off the roof, and then like, you guys see where he went? I mean, like, it's like a tall building. Maybe he didn't fall as hard as I think he did. And I really liked when he goes into the restaurant, the newscaster's actually saying what the newscaster says in the original George A. Romero Night of the Living Dead. That was a nice little plus for actual zombie fans. But yeah, it kind of blended like that Danny Way, silly Deadpool where he doesn't take anything serious. It's kind of like the Deadpool where we've been moving away from lately in the comic books. But yeah, I mean, this was all right.
Most of the stuff that I enjoyed about it the most, I think, was actually like just the non-Deadpool stuff. Like the little Easter eggs and like notes of the zombie shit that they put in there. Or the way they kind of talk about how, like, you know, you look around the world and see AIDS, poverty, death, blah, blah, blah. Like, How did you not notice it was the end of the world? The world was ending all the time. Look at all this shit. That was actually kind of, I don't know, almost kind of poignant to me. It kind of hit home. Talking zombies were interesting, I guess. It's kind of cool to see them verbalize their suffering, and that you see it from like a zombie's point of view a little bit. Kind of have this excuse about, the last bit of consciousness or something like that. I mean, I guess it's as plausible as any, given the kind of story you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the last little remnants. I mean, it slowly dies out, like, within a day or something, they said, but yeah, as long as they're, like, fresh dead, like, yeah, they can, like, say what's still on their mind. It makes as much sense as any other zombie trope, so, I mean, I'm not gonna balk at it either.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and go, oh my god, look how this guy has ruined zombies forever, we should, pitchfork.
Well, I mean, I love Crossed, and, like, I don't even want to get into what the zombies do in that comic book, so, I mean, talking is, like, the least of the thing that I could balk at zombies doing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to argue the semantics of what exactly does zombie mean or whatever, too. Like, that's not really what we're here for. The talking zombies did kind of start to get on my nerves a little bit, though, I'm not gonna lie. But maybe you need them to be that way, at least for a Deadpool story, especially when you ain't got no one else to talk to, and to help keep the right tone. What do you think about the red against black and white thing?
I liked it until they did the flashback and they had like all those pages in color. I wish they did those black and white and red too. Because I'm used to the black and white and red. Did a couple collections of that with the Grindel comics, and I always liked the black, white, red Grindel books. So that was kind of cool if they did that with Deadpool's. But when they kind of ruined it when they did the flashback in color. But it's not a big deal.
Ah, so they kind of like took you out of it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, man, do it all black and white, or yeah, with the one color in character. Don't all of a sudden like everything's in color, Like, unless like he was on drugs or something, like in that Simpson City book, Hell and Back. That kind of made sense why stuff started being in color in that one book, but.
Yeah, the whole red against black and white thing can seem a little cliched at times. I don't know, but I mean, it always does look really neat, one way or another. So would you give this book a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and go buy it or skip it?
I'm going to give it a medium thumbs up. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't exactly like awesome Deadpool either. And I'm going to say go ahead and check it out, you know what I mean? There's worse things to read. And like I said, there's a lot of really funny jokes about like Walking Dead and like George A. Romero and 28 Days Later jokes in it. So it might be fun for zombie fans to check that out and have a little laugh at the genre.
I'll give it a thumbs up. It wasn't bad. I was entertained. But I'll go with skip it. I still could have easily lived without it. And at the end, I kind of had one of those, that was it, expressions on my face. But it'll probably come off looking a lot better in the trade paperback. Okay, let's do our previews now. The first book for the next week is going to be all new X-Men number 22, Point Now. So all this Point Now shit can seem kind of pointless at times. But if it means not waiting and we get our other issue this month of all new X-Men right now, then I guess I'm not really going to complain about it.
Hell no.
It's going to be the story that starts our crossover with the Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got a bunch of space aliens who want to get some revenge on any Jean Grey they can get their hands on, blaming her for the Phoenix.
It's a good way for Bendis to combine two of his books, not to mention shamelessly self-promote the hell out of the Guardians of the Galaxy before the film comes out. And what better way to do that than cross them over with the X-Men?
Yep. Some no surprises, really, that they ended up doing this, but I still think it should be fun.
Right, and I mean, they're both Bendis books, so who better to write it? So
Yeah, instead of making it like some other event book kind of thing and giving it to some other writer or some shit like that. Yeah, I heard that, man.
And I mean, yeah, I want to see like Rocket Raccoon and Bobby do one-liners back and forth at each other. That should be pretty funny.
Yeah, that might be worth the price of admission right there alone. We're also going to get X-Men number 9.
Yeah, man. Now this is going to pick back up because, like they're getting all suited up and shit. And the cover is kind of foreboding. They show Psylocke and her little outfit all tore up, like she's going to get her ass kicked a little bit, which I think the only one that could hand anything to Psylocke at this point in the Sisterhood would be Enchantress, but we'll see, Misleading covers and X-Men titles are kind of hand in hand these days, so.
And maybe I'm just an easy date, but if it's got M flying in the issue, I'm already sold. Maybe it's just because they tease us with it for so long and then left her out for a whole issue.
Right. I think they're going to get there. There's going to be some shit talking and maybe a little bit of action, and then we're going to get a cliffhanger again. But it should be pretty cool, you know what I mean? And we're going to probably get to see all our badass Bettys ready to just kick some ass in it. So, right on. Wood's killing this, so.
Let's see. We also get Wolverine and the X-Men number 40. Only 2 more issues after this. And I gotta say, man, I kind of feel bad about being happy that was ending earlier. I mean, given a choice, I'd probably take this series over Amazing.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, since Aaron's leaving this to do Amazing, but I mean, like, dude, this book still sucks. It's just this is an alright written arc, only when it has to do with Cyclops and Wolverine. We still got the Archies crap to deal with. And, like, yeah, this is going to be the first time we get to see them knuckle up, and they're probably going to beat up Squid Girl and the Three-Face Boy and stuff. But, I mean, like, honestly, did they really need all those Archies to do that? I mean, they're just a couple of fake mutants anyways. That's going to be overkill and a half. It was more hardcore when the X Academy, those guys actually used to get attacked, you know what I mean, and had to fight actual villains and stuff. This is kind of, you know, these Archies, they get this whole book and they get all this praise and everything, and they haven't done anything but fought Tween Hellfire Club, which was the worst villains ever, and now this, you know, like, they really need to let these X babies grow some balls and actually have them fight somebody for once, you know what I mean? They ain't fought nobody yet.
Will they have time to in only 2 issues?
No, they won't. So I hope whoever this new writer is that's taking over will have the X-babies actually fight somebody.
Alright, so next up is All New X-Factor number 2.
Sweet. We're getting that again already? Bring it on.
Yeah, man. Last issue was mostly about bringing Gambit onto the team. I wonder if that's what the first few are going to be like. Like, each issue it'll be like, you know, this is the one where we meet Cypher. This is the one where we meet Warlock. This is the one where Danger joins the team, you know, and so on.
Yeah, I think they're going to build it up like that, and honestly, I really think that, like I said in the last issue, they're bringing Gambit around to be the new Madrox. So, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of this is all going to be seen through him.
Which works for me.
Right, Gambit rules.
We also get Cable X-Force number 19. And I don't care what anyone says, I'm still rooting for Hope to kill Bishop.
Yeah, me too. I don't see how it would be such a bad thing, you know what I mean? She's badass, and, like, I don't know, I remember in the Messiah War, they went to this future that was full of, like, all these cockroach monsters. She was, like, killing thousands of them things. What's the difference between killing 1,000 cockroach monsters that were, like, sentient in the future and killing Lucas Bishop? Like we said before, she'll probably be doing that idiot a favor. He never gets written well. He's just a plot device. Go ahead and kill him off.
Yeah, man, totally a mercy killing. What was the old thing? It's like, if someone tries to kill you, you gotta go and kill them right back. Ooh, we also get to see Cataclysm Ultimate X-Men end.
Oh. Who cares? They all die because Galactus has got fucking crotch-eating lice anyways. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm never gonna forgive him for that last stupid panel in that.
I'm never gonna forgive him for this 3-shot bullshit after Brian Wood's amazing fucking run and Nick Spencer's run before his. I mean, like, that was an X-Men book to be reckoned with, man. And, like, this cheeseball, nearly New 52 DC garbage that they got running, trying to call it the Ultimate X-Men is just, it's cry-worthy, man. It's just so hockey pisses me off. I mean, I'm like a hockey mad about it. I'm gonna pull somebody's shirt over their head and, like, punch them.
Yeah, man, nice metaphor. But this miniseries has just been so insulting that it almost puts it, like, down below Wolverine Max. Like, this doesn't even deserve, like, an epic goodbye shitty series kind of send-off.
Yeah, we're just gonna, like, probably review it really fast and then both thumbs down, skip it, and, like, it's over.
Yeah, man, basically, and that's it. And then just pretend that it never even existed.
I am kind of looking forward to the all-new Ultimates. I mean, like, I don't know. It looks cool. Looks like they're going to be playing back up the Kitty Pryde from the Ultimate X-Men again, so she's like my favorite character from that. Bring her on. I love Kitty Pryde.
I guess doing solicits for that already kind of spoil, like, some of the endings of what happens in Cataclysm. Because you know, like, certain characters that survive.
And Miles Morales lives. President Captain America lives. You know, like, a lot of the Ultimates are going to survive this. I'm pretty sure Pixie's dead, you know? I hope that, like, Rick Jones, Captain Marvel dies.
Well, who cares? Galactus is eating their home dimension anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, what else will be out? We'll also get Marvel Knights X-Men number 3.
Right, I was thinking of it, was that ever going to come out? Because it's been like hella days. I guess that one, because of the holiday, it kind of just got put on a loop, huh? They put a pin in it, and just, so I was wondering if that was ever going to come out, actually, when I was reading my books this week.
Yeah, man, it feels like it's been forever since the last one came out. But, I mean, technically, it was only December 4th.
Oh, wow. It does. It feels like it's been days, though, huh?
Yeah, it feels like it's been months, man, but it's only been, like, 5 weeks, 6 weeks or whatever. Yeah, it was just a holiday thing, man. You know, some series got pushed up a little bit, and some got pushed back, and this is one that just got pushed back.
I mean, like, would you want to come out alongside Origins too? You know, like, I'd be put on hold too. Like, I don't want my book coming out with that. Go ahead and put us on hold until the holidays are over.
Yeah, I'll wait till Valentine's Day if I have to. It's cool. Oh shit! You know, speaking of Origin too, that's the other book coming out next week.
Oh Jesus! Really already? Not another issue of a story about dogs and bears and animals. I don't know if I can take it. The Wolfish Man. Not the Wolfish Man.
Alright, what's gonna happen in this one? I guess Wolverine will actually have a speaking line? Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to promise you anything that I gotta live up to, but I guess the idea here
is that spider in it?
Yeah, the giant spider that he has to fight. No, that's in the last act, I think.
Okay.
I think that's how it's supposed to end. But yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna be in this one yet. This is the one in Origin 2. It's the one where like Wolverine's gonna be like Bigfoot. No, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Like the idea here is that Wolverine is some kind of like a legend, like, you know, the clawed man running the woods or something like that. Like he's like Bigfoot or some shit, and people are like gonna go into the woods hunting him.
Awesome. This is just when you didn't think it could get any worse. Honestly, like, we celebrated Wolverine Max being over, but Jesus, we got Origins in its place. You weren't even joking about that. Every time I think you're joking, you so are not, man, and it always just terrifies me.
Yeah, man, that's one that goes by. I made that joke like a while back too, but yeah, man, Origins right up to like take its place is just like the what the fuck is this happening for series of Wolverine.
Just hopefully he doesn't let his arms get run over by a choo-choo.
Ah, shit, man. All this talk about this crap now is kind of making me want to talk about something a little bit different. Why don't we spike the punch?
Oh, yeah! Yeah, spike it up, bro.
Alright, so Spiking the Punch is a segment where Johnny and I each recommend one non-X-Men related comic. Johnny Effa, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm going to one of my normal roosts. I'm going to be spiking with Vertigo Comics Coffin Hill number 4. And in this issue, we join our great protagonist, Eve. And basically, what happened in the last issue is she goes to visit her friend in a psychiatric ward and finds out that the doctor is running these kind of weird black magic experiments on him. And even the cop dude, they stop him. And her said friend wakes up from her coma. And this one, we find out by this chick playing mind games with Eve and with her, the cop guy, who Eve has always kind of wanted to shuck his corn cob. Basically, this girl is not the friend. She is being inhabited by some kind of, probably the darkness in the woods, I think is really what it's going to come to play as. We're kind of learning more about the missing kids case from issue number 1. And I got to say, man, this book is just coming together wonderfully. I love how she's kind of like this renegade freelance cop that like kind of just swept into town, and she's like the boss, even though the other dude's the chief. She's actually like telling all the other cops what to do and where to cordon shit off at and stuff. She's just such an awesome little character, man. Eve Coffin for president.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I mean, this series is just so interesting that I'm more than like willing to let you just spike with every issue of Coffin Hill as they come out. I think you only missed one anyway. So let's get into this one a little bit. So, the newly awakened Mel, you suggest maybe she was possessed by the darkness from the woods?
She pretty much confessed to Eve that she is not Mel. And she's got that stuff that comes out from around her eyes, and she's got the weird veiny thing that they've kind of shown in other black magic comics as a sign of possession or a sign that there's something unnatural in there. And it would only make sense because that's when she went batty, when the darkness and the force took their one friend. So, whatever's in her has to be akin to that. I mean, I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I'm just kind of splitting hairs on, like, is she possessed by a personality, or is her personality just been altered by this power that she's got now?
And we also kind of are finding out more about Eve Coffin's parents and the whole family line. Basically, it's almost like we're getting a family thing that goes through the blood, almost supernatural style. I don't know, maybe some kind of odd protectors of that land and the darkness that was there. And when Eve went messing around in it, she didn't know what she was doing, and she kind of unleashed it. I see that they're taking it too, so I really think that, yeah, maybe this thing is playing with what the darkness inside Mel's head, but it pretty much came out of the closet and told Eve that it is not Mel at all.
And it potentially gives her like a superhero nemesis in a way.
Right.
She's got like powers and shit, and she can like, they can have a cool witchcraft fight later.
Well, and she kind of joked around about her weird mismatched eye, the eye she steals souls with. So I wouldn't be surprised if that eye is how she's able to see the demons and the killers. Remember how she was able to spot the one serial killer in the case before she got shot and left the Boston PD? I think that, yeah, there's a lot more to even her powers than we've even been told in this book so far. I think that she's always been fighting demons and monsters when she was a cop. They just didn't explain that yet, and I think we might get a flashback arc when this is over to that, maybe, which should be interesting. Because Vertigo loves to do stuff like that with their books.
Ooh, yeah, that would be really cool. And like you were saying, they're kind of deepening the mystery of the whole... Well, I mean, they're deepening a lot of the mysteries, but one of them being the whole Coffin family themselves. Like, exactly, what they're made of. Like, are they born naturally disposed to witchcraft? We kind of know that, but, like, how and why? Is it like a supernatural superpower thing? Were they cursed? Make a deal with the devil? What exactly does it mean for them? We talked about Eve's mother protecting Eve from, their duties. Like, are they protecting something in some way? Like, I don't know, keeping a secret evil flame or making human sacrifices?
Yeah, I mean, something, There's got to be a lot more to play to this, and it's definitely got to be something that runs through the bloodline. What's it called? The curse or the duty of it. Maybe that they've been cursed as witches and stuff like that, but maybe the Coffin family are, I don't know, the good side of black magic type of thing, I mean, a lot of shows like Supernatural and stuff kind of have that kind of thing, so I see that Eve, no matter what, is determined to do... I don't know, somewhat good as a little goth punk chick can do,
And she's a little extra motivated now because we see that the previously missing, now known as dead girl from the cabin is like the sister, or maybe stepsister of Danielle, the friend who didn't make it out of the woods that night.
Right.
Which is cool. I like how it pulls the story even more intertwined.
Yeah, and I really like how she's playing with this mystery. Usually a lot of writers, they try to be clever, and they let the cats out of the bags, and they kind of overblow everything. But not this, man. Everything kind of comes about at its own pace, and it's all done so clever. You know what I mean? Like, there's not one thing that I'm just like, man, why are they doing it like this? Or they're ruining it, or they're messing it up by doing it like that. No, everything comes around almost perfect. I mean, the pacing of this book is just amazing. I can't believe this is like one of Kitteridge's first like actual graphic comic book works. I guess it comes from her being like a regular writer first, maybe.
Yeah, I think she has a very strong understanding of like story mechanics and like the way the mechanics of this story work out. Really, I mean, some of it's almost kind of obvious. It's like, okay, if you start your series with like flash forwards and flashbacks, and like it starts like more of the feature, of course you're gonna want to know like what happened beforehand. So when you do some of the flashbacks and stuff, that makes it satisfying. But that's also, just kind of basic writing, and like the way they do it does end up fulfilling.
Right.
Okay, for me this week I'm spiking the punch with Penny Palabras episode 2, The Devil's Weight. Penny Palabras is one of those small press, indie, self-published kind of books that comes across my desk a lot as being the editor-in-chief of Comic Book, but it's definitely one of the ones that's like stuck in my mind the most since after reading it. So Penny is kind of like this disturbed little girl. She sees dead people, I guess you could say. That's like the cliched phrase you have to use now. She sees dead people. She's haunted by all sorts of ghastly little shit. And one thing that she sees, like, her arch nemesis of sorts, is something called the Straw Man. And she says that he doesn't necessarily, bother her. He's just annoying, but she's constantly doing anything she can to get rid of him. And she also has these terrible nightmares that make her feel like she's on the brink of death. So in some ways, Penny is a little bit of an unreliable narrator, which is always kind of interesting. So it puts some mystery into the book, but it's not like necessarily like mystery in an annoying way. It just kind of like contributes to that kind of like spooky, what is going on here vibe.
Well, I took it to mean that she's like a young girl trying to pretend that she's tough, so there's no way that she's going to give away that this thing terrifies her to the point where she's like traumatized by it, which is obviously the case with the Straw Man. But she's trying to be Eve Coffin. You know what I mean? She wants to be the tough, hardcore chick that goes and gets these things. So, well, how can the Straw Man scare me? Even though it paralyzes her to think about it. I kind of thought that was kind of a little cool thing about her narration, that she plays it up like she's tougher than she actually is.
It's really ruining her life, too. Like, she doesn't have any normal friends, because, like, her house is scary, and everyone thinks she's, like, this really weird little girl. Most of the other characters in the book are, like, other dead people. And some of them, you're not even really sure if they're dead or alive. And, like, they all, like, do and say strange shit. Like, you know, when she's trying to find out a way to get rid of this straw man, she goes and they do one of those a little bit cliche kind of things where it's like, you know, go to the library and, you know, the spooky librarian will tell you, like, just the thing that you need to know to defeat it. But then, like, the librarian sends her to a pawn shop to go buy a gun.
Right. And little things like that keep this just different and obscure, you know, like, I don't know, trying to be too clever, it would have pissed me off. I liked that it was something just random like that, you know what I mean? It totally was not predictable, I can tell you that.
Yeah, man. Definitely not predictable. And it's kind of like a little poetic in some ways. Like, there was some normal conversation, but a lot of people talk to her like these kind of sing-songy, like, rhymes and riddles and shit like that. They draw a skull face into the moon, which is one of my favorite parts.
Oh, man, the art design in this book is just gorgeous. I love the artist's line work, man. The characters, all the grayscale that he uses. God, man, I miss black and white comics, and this one just reminded me how much so. I mean, especially with the detail, and like I said, the grayscales that he uses with his shading, man, it's amazing. It makes me really yearn for the days when, like, almost all indie books were black and white.
Yeah, man, you gotta give it up to Patrick Beavers, who does the visual art on this. This is one of the coolest, like, grayscale things I've seen in a while, too, because it's so much to the point where there isn't really a lot of, like, I mean, there's black and white in it, but it's not, like, just strictly black and white comic. Like, you really see them all. It's just stronger or lighter, you know, versions of the color gray.
And everything is so detailed. I mean, like, honestly, just the amount of detail that goes into his artwork, like, it is not shabby. I mean, I've seen a lot of black and white books where, yeah, man, like, you'd look at the detail and the shading and, like, you know, you'd be able to tell what it was, but, I mean, in this, he goes out of his way to actually, like, draw the grain in the wood and everything. I mean, it's gorgeous. Awesome spiking, bro.
Author James Willard really takes it up a step in issue 2. Like, he escalates it right away.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like, honestly, like, this book is so amazing, and it's being done with just such great care. And I'm sad to see that this is, like, as indie can get, that this is, like, self-published, because, dude, honestly, this should be at Oni or something like that at least, man. It's that good.
Yeah, man, like, pretty much the only ways to get it are, like, I think it's available on Amazon. Like, you can do, like, a Goodreads or an EPUB type thing. They might have it up on, like, an iTunes reader, I'm not sure yet. Or I think if you go to, like, the personal site for, Penny Palabras, you can make a small donation to get, like, a PDF or a CBZ or a CBR version of it. I'll put links to all of this in the episode description, either on our YouTube or on the comic book site or on the PSN site or on the Facebook. They'll definitely be out there somewhere. So just, like, you know, search around the All About X-Men Comics podcast to find those links.
I mean, if you're a fan of, like, supernatural, fun little stories, maybe a little tiny bit of noir thrown in there with the mystery side of it, you do not want to miss out on this. This book should be huge. It's a crime that it's not.
Let's wrap it up with a couple fun segments. Johnny Alpha, do you got any for me this week?
I pity the fool.
Alright, I Pity the Fool is a segment where we talk about shit that sucks. Well,
right.
Kind of.
Or, like, basically whoever is just the saddest sap that we've had to read or encounter this week. And mine definitely has to go to Wolverine, a.k.a. Shit for Brain Max, with his letting a train run over his arms because he thinks that that's going to help him escape his hard, horrible life. Bitch, I pity your ass, fool.
And me, I pity the fool who gets in Magneto's way as he rushes towards his new solo title. As we've just seen, even old allies can be targets now, and Magneto still has no qualms about using his old lethal methods. I Pity the Fool was brought to you this week by PSN-radio.com.
PSN Radio, the best in talk radio anywhere.
And sponsoring Too Cool for School this week is comicbook.com.
Man, this is Kevin Smith, and you've been comic booked.
Johnny Alpha, who did you think was too cool for school in comics this week?
Magneto, because just like you said, he is a force to be reckoned with, and he's getting back to his grassroots. Like, I gotta just say, man, him sitting there listening to them hippies talk, and he's just like imagining smoking them, that was too cool for school, man. Magneto is awesome. I need my Magneto was right shirt back, dude.
Start printing those Magneto was right shirts, absolutely. Because Magneto is also my Too Cool for School nominee this week. He's almost literally too cool for school, as he has left the Xavier school behind, and as he has taken out his old school of team.
He fucked him up too, dude. I mean, he straight up had Silver Dorker Eyes just shank Mystique, which I never thought I'd see. I figured, like, no matter what, he'd kind of, like, you know, kind of spare her and give her, like, some kind of, you know, you're being an idiot, but you know what? Like, I'm going to teach you a lesson like Wolverine did to Tiger. But hell no, dude. Yeah, and I'm going to trash your hotel because that's what I think of your plan. I mean, so badass.
Yeah, man, that shit was definitely too cool for school. If you'd like something to watch while you're listening to the podcast, don't forget that you can go to www.youtube.com/user/allaboutxmencomics, where we've got an interactive video type version to follow along with. So make sure to hit us up there, and we'll see you for the next episode.